Hello, and welcome to my YouTube channel, Reading Little Blue Books out loud while stoned. Today we're going to do a part 3 of Little Blue Book number 933, titled The Skeleton in the Closet, written by Clarence Darrow, copyright 1899. Now, we left off halfway through the Walt Whitman chapter, and Clarence Darrow is quite taken with old Walt Whitman. So here we go. We pick up where we left off. It is a sad mistake to believe that injustice and wrong can injure only the poor and the weak. Every mean word and narrow thought and selfish act degrades the aggressor, leaves its mark upon his soul and its penalty in his life. So too, no good effort is really lost, however it may seem to be. The kind word may be spoken to the deaf, the righteous effort be wrongly directed, the alms unworthily bestowed. But the heart that feels and the soul that tries has grown greater by the act. Quoting Walt Whitman, the song is to the singer and comes back most to him. The teaching is to the teacher and comes back most to him. The murder is to the murderer and comes back most to him. The theft is to the thief and comes back most to him. The love is to the lover and comes back most to him. The gift is to the giver and comes back most to him. It cannot fail. The oration is to the orator. The acting is to the actor and actress, not to the audience. And no man understands any greatness or goodness but his own, or the indication of his own. Close quote. Not alone in his theory of personal equality was Walt Whitman a Democrat in the highest meaning of the term, but he distrusted the ease and efficacy of modern life. He doubted and feared the polish and supersensitiveness that precedes decay. He had no faith in hothouse plants, in pampered life, in luxury and repose. He believed in rugged primeval nature, in the rocks and hills, the rivers and the pines. He loved the dumb and patient brute, and believed in stalwart men and strong women, in sunlight, rain, and air. Quoting Walt Whitman again. I am enamored of growing out of doors, of men that live among cattle or taste of the ocean or woods, of the builders and steerers of ships and the wielders of axes and mauls and the drivers of horses. I can eat and sleep with them week in and week out. I think I could turn and live with animals. They are so placid and self-contained. I stand and look at them and long and long. They do not sweat and whine about their condition. They do not lie awake in the dark and weep for their sins. They do not make me sick discussing their duty to God. Not one is dissatisfied. Not one is demented with the mania of owning things. Not one kneels to another, nor to his kind that lived thousands of years ago. Not one is respectable or unhappy over the whole earth. Close quote. Walt Whitman's work is not of the old time-worn sort. When he speaks of love, it is the love of life, the love of reality, the strong love of men, the intense love of women, the honest can't turn the page. The honest love that nature made, the love that is, not the unhealthy, immoral, false, impossible love told in erotic prose and more erotic verse and given to young girls and boys as the truth, to poison and corrupt with its false and vicious views of life. But he sings of the common things, the democracy of every day, for it is the small affairs that make up life. And its true philosophy is to see the beauty and greatness and relation of these little things and not to pine for the seemingly monotonous events. which can rarely come. The Alexanders, the Caesars, and the Napoleons are scattered only here and there in the great sea of human existence, and yet every life measured by just standards may be as great as these. And the soul that is conscious of its own integrity knows its own worth regardless of the world. Quoting Walt Whitman, I do not call one greater and one smaller. That which fills its period and place is equal to any. Close quote. Walt Whitman felt the music of the hammer and the axe as he felt the harmony of the symphonies of Beethoven, and he understood the art of the plowboy in the field as well as the glorious creations of Millet. Quoting Walt Whitman again, the young mechanic is closest to me, he knows me well. The woodsman that takes his axe and jug with him shall take me with him all day. The farm boy plowing in the field feeds good at the sound of my voice. In vessels that sail, my words sail. I go with fishermen and seamen and love them. The soldier camped or upon the march is mine. On the night air, the pending battle may seek me, and I do not fail them. On that solemn night, it may be their last. Those that know me seek me. My face rubs to the hunter's face when he lies down alone in his blanket. The driver, thinking of me, does not mind the jolt of his wagon. The young mother and old mother comprehend me. The girl and the wife rest the needle a moment and forget where they are. They and all would resume what I have told them. Close quote. Walt Whitman's democracy did not end with sex. Man is not always a logical animal. Most of the practical democracy of the world has stopped with men, and generally with white men at that. The political equality of women has only barely been considered, and still more important question, her economic independence, is yet a far-off dream. But Walt Whitman knew no limit to equality. With him, equality meant equality. It could mean nothing else. Quoting Walt Whitman, I am the poet of the woman, the same as the man, and I say it is as great to be a woman as to be a man, and I say there is nothing greater than the mother of men. Probably Walt Whitman would not have raised his hat to a woman on the street. No. Nor given her his seat in the car simply because she was a woman. Both these may be well enough, but they grow from false ideas of women, and of course, through these false ideas, women lose the most. Injustice and oppression can never be made up by chivalry and pretend courtesy, and the evil always is and must be the false relation which these create. Men expect to pay women for their political and economic freedom in theater tickets and by taking off their hats in public, and in the end, women become willing to receive this paltry and debased bribe. The Open Road, one of Whitman's masterpieces, is full of wholesome, inclusive democracy. And we're going to quote some of that now, apparently. Quoting Whitman, afoot and light-hearted, I take to the open road, healthy, free, the world before me. The long brown path before me, leading wherever I choose. Henceforth, I ask not good fortune, I myself am good fortune. Henceforth, I whimper no more, postpone no more, need nothing. Done with indoor complaints, libraries, querulous criticisms. Strong and content, I travel the open road. The earth, that is sufficient. I do not want the constellations any nearer. I know they are very well where they are. I know they suffice for those who belong to them. Here, the profound lessons of reception, nor preference, nor denial. The black with his woolly head, the felon, the diseased, the illiterate person are not denied. The birth, the hasting after the physician, the beggar's tramp, the drunkard's stagger, the laughing party of mechanics, the escaped youth, the rich person's carriage, the fop, the eloping couple. The early market men, the hearse, the moving of furniture into the town, the return back from the town. They pass. I also pass. Anything passes. None can be interdicted. None but are accepted. None but shall be dear to me. Close quote. But Walt Whitman's democracy was more inclusive still. It is almost becoming the fad to forgive the evil in others and to insist that, after all, their good qualities give them the right to kinship with others. But this is only one side of true democracy. The felon is my brother, not alone because he has every element of good that I so well recognize in myself, but because I have every element of evil that I see in him. Walt Whitman was wise enough to see the feelings and passions that make others sin, and he was just enough and great enough to recognize all these feelings in himself. Quoting Walt Whitman, "You felons on trial in courts, you convicts in prison cells, you sentenced assassins, chained and handcuffed with iron. Who am I, too, that I am not on trial or in prison? Me, ruthless and devilish as any, that my wrists are not chained with iron, or my ankles with iron? You prostitutes flaunting over the pavements or obscene in your rooms. Who am I that I should call you more obscene than myself? O culpable, I acknowledge, I expose. O admirers, praise not me, compliment not me, you make me wince. I see what you do not. I know what you do not. Inside these breastbones I lie smunched and choked. Beneath this face that appears so impassive, hell's tides continually run. Lusts and wickedness are acceptable to me. I walk with delinquents, with passionate love. I feel I am of them. I belong to those convicts and prostitutes myself. And henceforth I will not deny them, for how can I deny myself?" Close quote. These lines are not a burst of poetic feeling. They are the sincere utterances of a brave philosopher and poet who tells the truth about himself and about you and me. Let us be honest about sin. How do you and I differ from the murderer on the gallows, the prostitute in the street, or the burglar in the jail? How wide a breach is there between coveting the house or home or sealskin coat of your neighbor and taking it if you can? How great a difference between making a sharp trade with your neighbor, getting more from him than you give to him, and taking outright what he has. Yet one is business, the other larceny. What is the distance between hating your neighbor and wishing him dead? How great a chasm between feeling relief at his death and killing him yourself. So far as the man is concerned, it is not the act that is evil, but the heart that is evil. There is no difference between the committed and the uncommitted crime. Every feeling that makes every sort of crime is in the heart of each and every one. Nature has made the blood of some of us a little cooler and has developed caution a little more, or fate has made the temptation a trifle less, and thus we have escaped. That is, managed to conceal the real passion that boils and surges in our hearts until this is dead. Evil is in our souls. Away with all this talk of superiority and differences. It is cant. Pure, simple cant. Quoting Whitman, "I will play a part no longer. Why should I exile myself from my companions? Oh, you shunned persons, I at least do not shun you. I come forthwith in your midst. I will be your poet. I will be more to you than to any of the rest." Close quote. Has man the right to be less kind than nature is? Have we the right by word or deed to pass judgment on our fellow man? Can we not learn of love and charity and hope from the sun, the rain, the generous earth, and the pulsing, growing spring? Hear Walt Whitman's word to a common prostitute. Quote, "Be composed, be at ease with me. I am Walt Whitman, liberal and lusty as nature. Not till the sun excludes you do I exclude you. Not till the waters refuse to glisten for you, and the leaves to rustle for you, do my words refuse to glisten and rustle for you." Neither was it the magnanimous soul of Whitman that was charitable and kind, but it was the truthful, honest man who was his own goodness in the woman, and her sin, which, after all, was only an excuse of kindness in himself. The regenerated world will be built upon the democracy Walt Whitman taught. It will know neither rich nor poor, neither high nor low, neither good nor bad, neither right nor wrong, but, quoting Walt Whitman, "I will establish in every city of these states, inland and seaboard, in the fields and woods, and above every keel, little or large, that dents the water, without edifices or rules or trustees or any argument, the institution of the dear love of comrades." Close quote. Walt Whitman was always and at all times an optimist. He never struck a despairing note or voiced a doubting strain. His hope was not anchored in blind faith or narrow creed. His optimism was not that of the cowardly fanatic who stubbornly shuts his eyes to avoid an unpleasant view. He looked abroad at all the world and called it good. Optimism and pessimism, in their last analysis, are questions of temperament. They depend upon the eye that looks out, not upon the object that it sees. The pessimist points to the sunset, casting its lengthening shadows on the earth, and tells of the night that is coming on. The optimist shows us the rosy dawn, the golden promise of a glorious day. The pessimist tells of winter, whose icy breath chills and deadens all the world. The optimist points to springtime with its ever reoccurring miracle of light and life. Is the pessimist right? Or is the optimist right? Does the night precede the day, or the day precede the night? After all, are our calendars wrong? Does the winter, with its white shroud and cold face, mark the ending of the year? Or does the springtime, with its budding life and its resurrecting power, awaken the dead earth to joyous, pulsing life again? Above the view of the optimist, who sees the morning and the spring, and the pessimist, who sees the evening and the closing year, stand a few serene souls who look on both with clear eye and tranquil mind, and declare that all is good. The morning is right, and the evening is right. It is beautiful to pass through the joyous gates of birth. It is good to be clasped in the peaceful arms of death. Rare Walt Whitman, at 37, full of health and vigor and strength, with the world before him and conscious of his genius and his power, sings in a burst of optimism, quoting Walt Whitman, "I celebrate myself and sing myself, and what I assume you shall assume, for every atom belonging to me as good belongs to you. I loaf and invite my soul, I lean and loaf at my ease, observing a spear of summer grass. My tongue, every atom of my blood, formed from this soil, this air, born of parents, born here from parents the same, and their parents the same. I, now 37 years old in perfect health, begin, hoping to cease, not till death." Close quote. Again at 70, looking back on a life well spent, conscious that the last few sands are running out, a confirmed invalid with palsied limbs and failing strength, looking death squarely in the face and just before him, with the same sweet smile, the same lovely nature, and same all-embracing philosophy, sings once again his optimistic song, quoting women. Not from successful love alone, nor wealth, nor wealth, nor honored middle age, nor victories of politics or war. But as life wanes and all the turbulent passions calm, as gorgeous, vapory, silent hues cover the evening sky, as softness, fullness, rest suffuse the frame like fresher, balmier air, as the days take on a mellower light, and the apple at last hangs really finished and indolent ripe on the tree. Then for the teeming, quietest, happiest days of all, the brooding, blissful, Hyssalian days. It must be that somewhere in a serene height, where life triumphs over death, it must be that nature does not jar, and that the close of a lovely life is really as peaceful and as beautiful as the decline of a perfect day. That each day rightly lived and every year well spent must bring the pilgrim more in harmony with his journey drawing to a close. The world has ever shuddered at death, has stubbornly closed its eyes and refused to look in its face, to take its hand, to think of its peaceful, forgiving, soothing touch, has ever called it enemy, and never thought to caress it as a friend. Walt Whitman was wiser than the rest. His philosophy made him know that death was equally good, whether the opening gateway to a freer, fuller life, or a restful couch for a weary soul. Whitman had solved the eternal riddle. He had conquered death. He looked at her pale form and saluted her as he would welcome a new birth. No bard ever sang a more glorious hymn than Walt Whitman sang to death. And quoting Walt Whitman, "Come, lovely and soothing death, undulate round the world serenely, arriving, in the day and the night, to all, to each. Sooner or later, delicate death, praised by the fathomless universe, for life and joy and for objects and knowledge, curious. And for love, sweet love, but praise for the sure and winding arms of cool enfolding death. Dark mother, always gliding near with soft feet, have none chanted for thee a chant of fullest welcome? Then I chant for thee, I glorify thee above all. I bring thee a song that when thou must indeed come, come on flatteringly. Approach, strong deliveress. When it is so, when thou hast taken them, I joyously sing the dead, lost in the loving, floating ocean of thee, laved in the flood of thy bliss, O death, from me to thee, glad serenades. Dances for thee I propose, saluting thee, adornments and feastings for thee, and the sights of the open landscape and the high spread sky are fitting, and life in the fields and the huge and thoughtful night, the night and silence under many a star, the ocean shore and the husky whispering wave whose voice I know, and the soul turning to thee, O vast and well-veiled death, and the body grateful, nestling close to thee. Over the treetops I float thee a song, over the rising and sinking waves, over the mirrored fields and the prairies wide, over the dense packed cities all, and the teeming wharves and ways, I float this carol with joy to thee, O death. Close quote. Whitman, in his wheelchair, physically shattered and broken, but with a mind strong and serene, and at peace with all the world, waiting for the sun to set, is a lesson in optimism better than all the sermons ever preached, without faith in any form of religion that the world has ever known. He had brought his life so in harmony with nature that he felt every beat of the great universal heart, and with the confidence of certain knowledge he looked upon the fading earth and caroled a song as he sailed forth on the great unknown sea, which is hidden in perpetual night from all but the few great souls whose wisdom and insight have given them the confidence and trust of a little child. Quoting Walt Whitman again. Joy, shipmates, joy. Please to my soul at death I cry. Our life is closed, our life begins. The long, long anchorage we leave. The ship is clear at last. She leaps. She swiftly courses from the shore. Joy, shipmates, joy. Close quote. Conscious of the integrity of his purpose and the inherent righteousness of his life, moved and upheld by his broad philosophy and his patient, trustful soul, with no false modesty and with the same manly egoism that made him what he was, the kindest, gentlest, justest, broadest, manliest man, Walt Whitman asked the reward his life had earned. And quoting Walt Whitman again, give me the pay I have served for. Give me to sing the song of the great idea. Take all the rest. I have loved the earth, sun, animals. I have despised riches. I have given alms to every one that asked, stood up for the stupid and crazy, devoted my income and labor to others, hated tyrants, argued not concerning God, had patience and indulgence towards people, taken off my hat to nothing known or unknown, gone freely with powerful, uneducated persons, and with the young, and with the mothers of families. Read these leaves to myself in the open air, tried them by trees, stars, rivers, dismissed whatever insulted my own soul or defiled my body. That can't be right. Ah, there it is. Claimed nothing to myself, which I have not carefully claimed for others on the same terms. Sped to the camps and comrades, found and accepted from every state. Upon this breast has many a dying soldier leaned to breathe his last. This arm, this hand, this voice have nourished, raised, restored, to life recalling many a prostrate form. I am willing to wait to be understood by the growth of the taste of myself, rejecting none, permitting all. Close quote. When man has grown simpler and saner and truer, when the fever of civilization has been subdued and the pestilence been cured, when man shall no longer deny and revile the universal mother who gave him birth, then Walt Whitman's day will come. In the clear light of that regenerated time, when the world looks back to the doubt and mist and confusion of today, Walt Whitman will stand alone, the greatest, truest, noblest prophet of the age, a man untainted by artificial life and unmoved by the false standard of his time. In a sodden, commercial, money-getting age, he enjoyed all the beauty of the earth without the vulgar lust to own. In the world of privilege and caste, he felt and taught the brotherhood of man and the kinship of all living things. In an age of false modesty and perverted thought, he sang the sanctity of the body with the divinity of the soul. Against the agnostic and the Christian too, he defended every part and portion of the faultless work of the creative power. Above the doleful, doubting voice of men, through the dreariest day and darkest night, and the raging of the storm and the madness of the waves, his strong, optimistic, reassuring note was ever heard above the rest, proclaiming to the universe that all is well. He saw that in a wise economy, in a good broad way, that the false was true, the evil good, the wrong was right, and that over all the universe, pervading all its teeming life, a powerful, omnipotent, beneficent, and wise was working to uplift, conserve, and purify the whole. The poor, the weak, the suffering, the outcast, the felon, all knew him for their comrade and their friend. His great, inclusive, universal heart left no soul outside, but all alike he knew, the life of all he felt, and one and all he loved. In his vocabulary were no words of bitterness and hate, and in his philosophy no right to censure or to blame. In his every deed and thought he seemed to say, quoting, "So I be written in the book of love. I have no care about that book above. Ease my name, or write it as you please. So I be written in the book of love." As the shadows lengthen and the daylight wanes, as the hair whitens and the passions cool, more and more do we learn that love is the true philosophy of life. More and more do we revise the sterner judgments of our earlier years. More and more do we see more and more do we see that pity should take the place of blame, forgiveness of punishment, charity of justice, and hatred be replaced by love. When old familiar faces awake the memories of bygone days, often and often again do we hear that our judgments were cruel and unjust, but every deed of mercy and every act of charity and every thought of pity is like the balm of Gilead to our souls. We may none of us be wise or great. Fortune may elude us and fame may never come. But however poor or weak or humble, we yet may inscribe our names in the fairest, brightest book, the book of love, and on its sacred pages, earned by the glorious truths he taught, by his infinite, ever-present love of all, upon the foremost line will be inscribed Walt Whitman's name. And that is the end of the love letter to Walt Whitman written by Clarence Darrow, apparently. That is the end of Little Blue Book number 933, titled The Skeleton in the Closet. Apparently Clarence Darrow's is his love for Walt Whitman. But thanks for listening, and join me in the next Little Blue Book.